Hey guys, Jerry here, and today I'm going to share some information with you to help you become better surfperch anglers. Check it out. Alright, let's start with the rod and reel setup. What I've got here is a 9.5 foot Daiwa rod. Is rated for 3/8 to 1 ounce, even though I cast 2 ounces of lead usually on here. I like the anywhere from 9 to 10 feet, just so that you can get it out a little farther. However, really, if all you have is a trout or bass rod, that'll work too. The reel I have on here is a Cabela's Salt Striker. It worked really well for us when we took them out a few weeks ago, and they good construction, nice and smooth, and they have a really good warranty from what they tell us. So on top of that, we're running a 30-pound braid line, and this setup here will also double as my salmon setup for casting spinners in the fall from the bank. From there, I have a double uni knot here, and it's a great knot. Really, you can use any braid to mono knot if you want. Just make sure it passes through the guides well. And I'm running about 9 or 10 feet of 15-pound, I think this is Maxima Ultra Green. And from there, we'll have a series of loops, which we'll get into in a little bit. So for me, that's what I use for perch. It seems to work really well. And really, if whatever you got, if you just need to get out there and fish, use what you got. All right. So one option for your hook and weight setup when fishing for surf perch is a slider weight setup. And there are some advantages to this and also some disadvantages. One of the advantages is that when the perch picks up your bait on the end of your hook, they can't feel any resistance. And so as the fish moves here, your main line is allowed to move freely through the slider setup. That is a huge advantage, but at the same time, as this is rolling around, your bait is allowed to move freely, and perch feed by sucking in your bait and spitting it out, and they suck it in and spit it out. And so with this slack line in here, I think it gives a perch an opportunity to suck up your bait and spit it out before you have a great chance to get a hookup. And here's another setup you can use, and this is the one that I prefer. This is basically a dropper loop setup, and you can run up to 3 hooks with this setup here in Oregon, and I usually run 2. All it is a series of loops. Here at the bottom, there's a loop that goes through the eyelet of the weight, around it, and pulls tight. And I usually like to run this flat style weight because I think it slides around on the sand better than rolls. When you get a sharp, like pyramid style weight that rolls along, it's really hard to decipher between the rolling of the weight and actual bites. As you go up the line about 2 feet to your first loop, you pre-tie the loops in here, and then all you do is run your loop through the eyelet of the hook and up and around and pull it tight, and that's it. Same thing on the upper one. The thing I like best is that there's a tight line as you cast and you're fishing between your weight and your rod tip. So as the perch come in and pick up this hook and suck in your bait and try and spit it out, there's a good chance that he could get hooked on his own as is. I think it's a lot better hookup ratio on your bites, and that's why I prefer this setup. As far as gear for fishing for surf perch, it's pretty simple really. A size 2 or 4 bait holder hook works great. Some people like octopus style, and I've used them, but the little barbs on the back of the hook shank will help keep your bait on a little better. Like I said earlier, a flat disc weight is my preferred choice of a weight. Whatever you can cast with your setup. I usually use 2 ounces, even though it's a little heavier than what my rod is weighted for, but 1 ounce will work too. And then probably the preferred bait out there is the Berkeley Gulp 2-inch camo sandworms. There are other natural baits you can use, but these do so well, and as you watch videos on YouTube, a lot of people are using these as their preferred bait. They work that well. So this is pretty much all you need for a setup. If you're going to use braided mainline, then you're going to want a leader to tie to. And like I said, I usually run Maxima Ultra Green, but you can use about any monofilament you want out there that you like. I run about 15-pound monofilament. It seems to work pretty well. It's fairly stiff, and so it keeps all your gear in line. It doesn't loop up real easily, and it doesn't seem like the perch are really all that leader shy. So if you want to run straight monofilament as your main line, then you don't really need that monofilament bumper or leader there. So whatever you're using as your main line would work. Alright, so here is my exact setup that I have tied up on my Surfperch rod right now. So I've got my 30-pound braided line here, a double uni knot to my 15-pound monofilament leader, and this leader is about 9 feet long. It rolls through down to the very bottom where I have a 2-ounce lead disc style sinker, and from there it's about 2 feet up to my first hook, in which I've attached number 4 bait holder hook and a 2-inch camo Berkeley Gulp sandworm, and then I have about a foot, maybe a little more, to another loop in which I've attached the same. And another thing I like to do is when I thread my sandworms on, I like to run them towards the back of the tail of the sandworm. It seems like when I get short strikes and I set the hook and miss and I reel in my bait, sometimes I'm missing the back end of my sandworm. So I like to try and keep the hook back towards the back end of the sandworm there. So there's my complete setup. Braid, double uni, mono. I've got about 2 feet between my weight, my first loop, and about a foot, foot and a half up until my next one. All right, good luck.